We have Christian mystics, we have Jewish mystics, so there's, mystics, the difference is the inner path. And just as with acting, you have different ways of approaching, and some approach from the outer and they get caught in their costume and their accent and their this and their that. And then you have the one that approaches the actor by going in. And they're not happy until they feel the heartbeat of the person that they are acting out. That is so much of what a mystic is like. They want to feel
that, and that's what I was going to say. That's what the mysticism is all about.
Yes,
is that you get outside of thinking about it and you feel it in your body.
And you feel it,
and you feel it when you're in love, and you feel it when you're off kilter. And when you're connecting with somebody, you're not connecting through, okay, they're going to say this and I'm going to reply with this. You're in the moment with them, and you're present with them. And then that transference comes. So our heart, I'm very convinced, is this electromagnetic transfer system. And I've experienced with it over miles, all across the country.
Yes.
And I can connect to somebody and boom, they'll call me the next day.
Yes.
Or that day.
And I think so many people have, if they're really honest, that they've had experiences they can't explain.
I know a lot of people that hear mysticism, they think mystical, occult, and everything else.
Yeah.
And they turn it off and say, that's not me.
Yeah.
And so they don't experience any of this stuff. And this is why I want to get into the Yogananda stuff, because Yogananda brought it down to 3 simple rules. Yes, Jesus is a mystic. Babaji was a mystic. Well, these people are mystics.
Yes.
And they're here for the same thing, to enhance who we are and bring it into light.
Right.
And it's the consciousness that we're all connected to. And when we surpass that consciousness, then we're in divine presence.
Right. And we all have that capacity.
Right. And that divine presence comes when you completely empty your mind and you're not thinking about anything. You're just feeling it all. You're seeing it. You're hearing it. You're knowing it. Your eyes are closed and you can see it all. You can feel it all. You can understand it all. But divinity is always truthful. It's like, this is what it is.
Mm-hmm. You're in alignment.
Yeah.
You're really in alignment. Yeah. And, it's just through all the years, what's really come down to me is it's so much, it's as simple as, once you experience the sort of expanded consciousness, and then you're back chopping wood and carrying water, you recognize what's truly important is just these little acts of kindness. Mm-hmm. And the heart has been opened through this experience. I think that suddenly I just realized I was being held in this presence, this spacious presence, and that I could let go and trust this, that I didn't have to perform or be or do anything. I was held in this loving expansion. And it was literally a tactile presence to me. That was my first experience of, this is presence. There really is presence. Mm-hmm. When you are quiet and stilled and you finally quiet that mind and relax. I really think, with meditation, it's like, it's relaxing. It's falling back and letting go. It's like, my mind still goes, but I'm not attached to it.
Yeah, there's confusion about emptying your mind. It's not emptying your mind.
You don't empty your mind.
It's not following it. It's just sitting there observing it.
You observe it, and then before long, it's sort of in the background.
Yeah, it's the background, and let it go in the background. Yeah.
Something else starts coming in and filling you, and you go, "Oh my goodness, this is a wonderful space to live from." Mm-hmm. And I think, if people want to know, I think, when I first started this, I wanted enlightenment and I wanted all these things. What I have now is this peaceful spaciousness that everything goes on as it goes on. My side that gets angry, or my side, but it's like, oh, that too. It just it's I have compassion for the characters that come through me.
Yeah, and this is something that I part of my coaching is let them be who they are.
Yes.
You be who you are, right? And stop trying to make them who you are, and they'll stop trying to make
yes, just we're all, if you just allow the dance of diversity and the awe of it, like a child. I mean, a child wasn't trying to tell you to be other than what you were. The child was just enamored by everything happening, and that's kind of the space you go into. And for me, there's this divine intelligence. The universe is intelligent, and you can try to name it and do all these things and whatnot, but it's so beyond our intelligence. But you can access it. It can be the play of consciousness, that you're not putting everything into this serious box that we get. I mean, if you turn on the news and all of that, yes, I definitely pay attention to it. I stay on top of it. I listen to all the different sides. Some sides are harder to listen to than others, but I do. But that's a play going on here.
Yes, I that's how I always saw it. That,
and it doesn't mean
my bubble to me is usually my partner and myself.
Yeah,
because I feel completely connected when I'm connected with somebody else on that level, and that's my truth. And then everything else is there for my entertainment. And if it's a horror show like we're going through now, or if it's a fantasy show like we go through sometimes, that's the Leela. It's the play of life.
It's the play of life.
Hear what we're doing.
And that does not mean you don't have total compassion and empathy for it.
No.
You absolutely do. It's not that you. In fact, in some sense, there are many times I wish, oh, now I really understand that ignorance is bliss, because it can be really painful. But that's when I understand I don't have to hold it. I'm not being asked to hold the suffering and the pain. All I can do, and this comes back to, is whatever life brings me, whoever life brings me, bring my best to that person, bring my kindness and my heart to that person, to that situation. I can't fix the whole world. This intelligence hasn't put me out into the whole world. It's put me right where I am. And now it's put me in the fellowship. And so that's what I can give my all and best to. And that's all I can do. And I think if we were all working that way, the world would be a real different place. Another thing is, people think you have to kill off the ego in spiritual teachings. Like you don't. You just have it. You just put it at a different place. It doesn't run you. It begins to serve the heart, and the mind. You start understanding the mind is much vaster. Most people that talk about mind, they don't understand how vast it is. Even within our brain, we've used so little of it. Yeah. And part of the spiritual journey opens up that intelligence, which I think a lot of scientists are starting to discover. That, oh my God, there's this there's this field that once you can quiet the ego and open up into that field, your life changes.
This is something that I discovered when I started meditating years ago, that we were talking about. Well, it's always been part of me, right? So my self-realization comes from the fact that I've always had three me's. There was my body me, which I consider my ego. There's that Christ conscious me, or the higher self me, and then there's the divine me. And it's all part of who I am. Mm-hmm. And so I don't put down the ego. The ego it takes care of my body. Right. Because 60% of my day, and I'm one of those discoverers, journeyers who will go deep into myself, and I'll meditate all day long as I'm working outside. So the ego keeps me in this world. It keeps me in my body. Otherwise, I'm flying out in my other two minds.
I can be working and in a meditative state at the same time, embodied, in an embodied meditative state.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is, the more we can do that, the more it's going to help this planet, because there was a period in the spiritual where everybody was leaving, and zoning out and not here present. And again, it's this presence of bringing this consciousness in.
I want to reposition zoning out and whatever. Zoning out means that I'm fully engrossed with where I am in the moment.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, and so that's a part of being. And that's what being is. There's an existence of just being, and you can exist in just being.
Absolutely.
The doing is just to keep our minds busy. This came very evident during COVID. When COVID happened and people didn't have to go to work, it was prison for them.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do.
Right.
They couldn't be with themselves. And I was teaching people, don't do, just be. And so my big balance of trying to figure out what you're saying about being in your body while you're being spiritual too is noticing those subtle differences. My camera's not working. This isn't working. Okay, maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else right now. And then that changes me.
Yeah.
That changes me to a different mode of being.
Yeah.
Because my mind's going to say, no, you got to work on this. You got to drive.
Yes. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's like listening to the messages that, and again, this will sound strange, and that the universal intelligence is giving you. I mean, life brings you what you need, or what it wants to help grow you. I think the other thing is to trust life, and so many people don't really trust life. Mm-hmm. I totally trust life, and it when you do, it's, I never would have thought that I would be a interim minister at UU. That isn't something that, but I trust it, so okay, life, here I am, and I'll give it my all. And that's not passive. I think that's the other thing. People think if you just surrender and let life, it's a passive thing. Life can be one of the hardest teachers, and to show up for it and to get its signals, of when it says this isn't working anymore, but don't put your energy there. So you do start reading, because you're present in what's happening. You're conscious of what's happening to yourself. So you're more aware of your surroundings and what's working and not working. And there's not a right or wrong. That's the thing. There's not a right or wrong. There's a redirecting. There's a flow. Yes. And if you keep staying and bouncing your head against this, you're not moving. You're just, you're just in this repetitive banging your head against the wall. But life will bring things to redirect you. And that could be a wonderful thing. It could be saying, you've gotten your lesson here. So I'm going to redirect you now, and we're going to go and do a new lesson in life.
That brings us into so with your new redirection as being an interim master, where's that life taking you? What's going on? How are you bringing this congregation back into full operation and all that other stuff?
Oh, well, that we're all co-creators in that.
Absolutely.
And I really, really believe that.
And that's, again, being a fellowship. You have to look at it different.
Yes.
And I don't want to stop you but I want to bring one more thing. I came into this fellowship with the term seva, that we're going to be here. And people start looking at it and say, okay, that's just doing service. It's not doing service. It's speaking your truth, being truthful to what your truth is.
Yeah. And
shining in that. And then that shines on other people. So they see you being connected to something, then they're connected to it.
Yes.
But How do you ramp that up in people who don't get it?
Well, I think if they understand service and doing service, and I'm actually in January going to talk about reciprocity, because the universe loves the dance of reciprocity. It's a give and a take. It's an exchange. It's a, that's, I mean, uh, even if you go to all the biblical stories, it's like God, or however you call it, was totally alone and wanted to see itself. So it put all these things out to sea. So it was like, we want interchange. We want interaction. In service, it's so important to stay in gratitude and conscious of how life is continually serving us. So in the little ways that you can give back, and give back with gratitude and heart, and it's not that the person receiving in reciprocity has to give it back to me. I have no expectations of that. I trust life will. With service, a lot of people forget how, and I in the past was guilty of this, and I could still at times be guilty of if I overstretch, because I have a tendency to just, this energy comes through me. But I think what happens, and particularly as we get older, you don't have the same energy you had before. So it's so important to have that me time, that quiet time, that recharge time, and that time, and you talked about it as Eddie talked about it, of gratitude, where you acknowledge, you say thank you, and you look over your day at the little things that you were able to achieve, or the little, how you hit all green lights that day, down to that little minutia, of the things that life, the warm house when it was snowing out, that you do have food, that suddenly when you come from that place of gratitude, service is so different. You're wanting to give back to a place you love becomes so different. And if you don't have the energy to honestly say that, to even just say, I want to be there, but I'm just so tired right now. And that someone may say, all I need is your presence here. You don't have to do a thing, but I just don't want to be alone doing this. So speaking our truth, as you say, that's service. And that's also a form of reciprocity, because you are giving of yourself, which allows the other person to give and be real with themselves. So in fellowship like this, and I look at a lot of, we're getting older, we're a small fellowship, and there are a lot of things to running a fellowship. And people get worn out, and life happens, or they get ill. And so it's like, how do we support that? How do we, and not make people feel bad that they're not doing big things for the fellowship, but to really honor the little things. If you could just show up, and sometimes it is just really nice to have someone come along with you when you're doing something, that you're not there alone. Those little ways. So, I always learned with Seva when I was doing, in ashrams or doing non-dual work, it needs to come from the heart, because spirit will know when it's not coming from the heart. So it's
if you're doing something because you think you have to do it, or it's going to make it's a drag.
It is a drag.
If you're doing something in Seva, you can't stop yourself from doing it. It's that's what I was saying before. You fill yourself up with God's love, and then God's love just wants to go everywhere.
And so what I'm looking at in our fellowship is, how do we make people honestly feel the joy in doing things there? And that's what I hopefully, that we will bring together and bring out, so that it's a joyful experience of whatever we do.